Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're starting a series for Shantae Half-Genie Hero Ultimate Edition. I'll be trying this on the 64-bit version of the game. I don't think there's probably much of a difference one way or the other for a game like this. In fact, in general, 64-bit versions of games only really improve the performance if they're programmed to make use of a lot of 64-bit floating point mathematics, which is only done if you have basically large resolution 3D graphics. A 2D game like this is going to be, for the most part, limited as long as it's not doing damage or any other like number counter above 65,000, then you can keep that in a 32-bit number. And as long as your resolution is below 65,000, then for like the entire world, you're probably not going to even use a 64-bit number in that either. There might be some automatic optimizations in games that engines take advantage of there, but honestly I think it is mostly just a matter of people trying to use more RAM. And yeah, that is one thing 64-bit games can, or programs can do, is that they can use more than 2 gigabytes of RAM, which that would definitely influence the effect. But let's not get into the technicals this early into the game. This is a 2016 game, whereas the Ultimate Edition I think came out in 2018. I'm not sure what you really get extra in the Ultimate Edition, or if you just kind of get everything. It was kickstarted originally in 2013, but then WayForward kept getting money, accepting money through PayPal to reach over $900,000. So the Shantae series at this point, since this is the 4th game in the series, has become rather popular among its niche fandom of people looking for platforming games that star Shantae, the belly dancing genie character, and her assortment of friends, which we can look in the background and see a lot of people we recognize, even though I did skip the first game, which isn't on PC. But we can also see that there's some extra people. As far as options, the resolution by default wasn't at 1080p. I turned it up. It did improve the graphics, although I will say, even with anti-aliasing and a higher resolution, the character of Shantae and her depiction on this image is still pretty jaggy. Like, you can kind of tell this menu was not originally designed for 1080p, and there's really no reason why that would have been the case. We also have some extras, with backer credits being separate from credits, which is an interesting idea for a Kickstarter game. A Hall of Fame that we'll look at the end, and windscreens, so we know there are different windscreens like all the other Shantae games. Let me move the mouse out of the way. And I think that's pretty much all I need to mention. It seems more and more, just every game I try to play, the audio is really, really loud. And I'm not sure how to really address that, frankly. Like, I don't want the audio to be super quiet where I can't hear it, but I also have this like very different scale, it seems, between what the microphone picks up and what the desktop audio plays, where the desktop audio, I've got it down to 1%. I could not go lower unless I went into the options. Let's hop into this. Okay. So we have another image that we can look at for a second. So in Ultimate Edition, you have a main game. You have a hero mode, where you play with your main transformations unlocked. And I think, this being the 4th game in the series, we are going to get back to the belly dancing transformations, where we didn't have that in the previous game. A hardcore mode, A classic tough as nail difficulty setting for those craving an old school challenge. I probably don't want that. A Pirate's Queen mode where you play an alternate storyline as Risky Boots, which that's different content, so we'll want to play that. A Friends to the End mode, play a new adventure as Sky, Bolo, and Roddy Tops. So that's more content. You can see here that you're actually getting quite a lot. And then there's an all-new arcade-style dash and slash adventure with ninja speed. And here you can see Shantae is in a ninja outfit, which we haven't seen that before. And then there's a beach mode, all-new arcade-style adventure. Hit the beach and work on that tan. And there you have another image. And then here we have an officer mode, which this is a reference to their game Mighty Switch Force. I think this is also the first time we've also had like a voiced music in the menu, and possibly voiced menu in the entire voiced music in the entire game series. So they're really bringing it up. But also you have to remember that the series started on like the 3DS a year before the 3DS was discontinued, and now they've jumped quite a bit to the point where they're mostly targeting Xbox 360 and PC consoles. So an arcade style adventure, switch up your surroundings. And then we have Jamie's mode, prefer for the ultimate pillow fight. And I guess I suppose is once again worth mentioning that the Risky Boot, the Shantae series, there's a Freudian slip, is continuing to shift more towards a mature quality game. It seems to be like the game is aging with the audience that originally would have played the first Shantae, where the first Shantae was E for everyone, and the last one I played was T for teen. I think we're probably gonna be somewhere between a T for teen and a teen plus as far as the rating on this one. Let me see if I can actually look at that. Well, I'm not sure. Wikipedia actually lists an ESRB rating. But yeah, this came out for the PlayStation 4 and the Vita and the Wii U and the Xbox One, so it wasn't even the Xbox 360. Yeah, and they don't actually have an ESRB rating. And then there's one more game so far after this, Shantae and the Seven Sirens, and I don't own that one, so I probably won't end up playing that anytime soon. And here we have our choice. I know there's an achievement for playing the game with a different color palette. And we have been playing up until this point with Shantae in her red belly dancing outfit. So let's go with blue. But you can also see there is a level here of just extra content on top of extra content on top of extra content, which is what you see when a Kickstarter game actually gets developed and released and is overfunded. But that's a very rare case. Very often the games are barely funded or they're funded. Interesting. I heard a whisper, but I don't know what it said. They didn't put the text on the screen. But you can definitely look here and see that while Shantae is still being detailed and shadered in a way to make her look like a flat 2D character, the rest of the world is very much 3D models that have been drawn to look like the older games. It's a little weird to have the text at the top here as Shantae is waking up in her pajamas. And once again, we're starting with her in her pajamas, which I think is what happened in the last game. Is someone there? It probably would be more beneficial but more expensive and more work to have full voice acting of all the characters in the game. But I would, as a player, probably prefer that over just a voiced soundtrack song that we may never even hear in the game. Hello? Alright, so we have control. And you can see her hair is not in the braids. And her hair is sweeping the ground. At this point, she is a genie again, whereas in the previous game, she didn't become a genie until like the very end. And let's see, we can't attack. None of the other buttons seem to be doing anything. D-pad does the same as the left stick. Right stick doesn't do anything. There's a lamp in the background. That's probably the lamp from the previous game. So I'm not sure we're going to do anything with it. And the doors just automatically open. And we're at our lighthouse. But what we can see about the lighthouse is, in this case, where it's 3D and we can't go to the left. We can see some other islands. I wouldn't mind going back to some of the other islands. There's a squeaky plank. How many squeaky planks are there? Actually, quite a lot of them. But everything's going to probably just get redrawn like it has been for the past 2 games. And we're ideally going to want to look here for just improved, smoother gameplay for a modern time compared to the kind of difficult platforming that existed before. Here we're just running into fireflies, and this makes me feel like she walked all the way through the forest and now has she's walked all the way through the village and is now in the forest automatically. Either that or she's having a dream. Like, how would she have gotten to the palace this quickly? Yeah. We're gonna just have the standard sound effects. And it is weird. Like, at 1, it's a little too quiet. At 3, which I just turned it up to 3, it's a little too loud. Like, what I probably need to do is turn down my microphone, and then I could just maybe adjust everything from that point. Oh, Uncle, you fell asleep in your workshop again, huh? I've never seen that trapdoor before. It seems like the uncle always does something that where he has a hand in the latest calamity that causes Shantae to go on a trip. I wonder where it leads. I never really got a full understanding of the kind of world that Shantae is set in. It seems a little weird that she would leave her house in her pajamas and walk through a forest. So theoretically, you would assume that that meant that this is a incredibly safe land, but we know it really isn't because there's enemies always everywhere. Maybe it's just incredibly safe for her. And then this main city in particular is a world full of Persian Indian style characters that seem to almost all the females seem to wear belly dancing type outfits and show a lot of skin. But then there was one small point in the story in the previous game where there seemed to be some level of discomfort in those kinds of outfits by some of the characters, which, okay, fair enough. Obviously I can only jump down here, and I assume this is going to get me down to looking at what the levels look like. Now, you almost have too much 3D here, and in honesty. There is a point-and-click adventure called, from a long time ago, called Indiana Jones and Fate of Atlantis. And it has just so much visual detail in that very first cutscene that you see that it's amazingly impressive as the first thing you see in the game, but it also would have made the entire game incredibly difficult to play. And so for the rest of the game, it is slightly less detailed in each section. Well, we aren't going to be able to jump up there. And we can hear she makes sounds when she falls every now and then. And here we have a bat that flew into the fire and got burnt, and he has a fire damage. What's interesting there is we don't have any options here. Like we can adjust a lot of things, but we're really missing any ability to turn off damage markers, which you would think you'd want that more than a color palette swap. So these guys are being redrawn, but they were super annoying at one point because they would definitely come from the top of the screen and you wouldn't really see them. And we don't have like a life bar or anything around us, so we may only be able to take one hit before we would die. Although, why would you do that in this tutorial section? What is this place? Does Uncle even know it's down here? Seems like it's some kind of magical spring. There goes that voice again. Like, I imagine at some point we've got to bring back the genies. But I wouldn't be surprised if they actually don't ever do that, and instead they just have Shantae as the only either half genie or a full genie. I don't know if she's technically a full genie at this point. You want her to be the hero, and you don't want her to be replaced as the hero, obviously, but you kind of want to see the backstory of her, like, father and her mother, have that story continued and wrapped up at some point. And since this game is the Seven Sirens, I assume this is a siren that has just called Shantae and tricked her. Welcome, daughter of the genies. Although maybe the sirens are the good guys in this story. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. Who said that? Whoever you are, you better come out right now. So it's just a glowing light. We already kind of had spas that were kind of like the pixie caves and fountains in Legend of Zelda games. And Shantae is somewhat like Legend of Zelda games, but it goes more into platforming, I would say, than any Zelda game. Honestly, it's more closer, I think, to a Metroid game with hack and slashing. Don't be afraid. Gasp, who are you? A messenger from the genie realm. I've summoned you to warn you of a great danger. Very soon, an agent of darkness will strike at the heart of our world. It seeks to corrupt our magic and use it for its own selfish game. Risky boots, almost certainly. With our power at its disposal, the agents of darkness will reign supreme over both our worlds, and no one will escape its wrath. See, I guess the genies went to a different world. They didn't just like die out. Oh no, this sounds serious. How do we stop it? As a daughter of the genies, only you have the power to do this. Me, but how? I will help you where I can. Listen for my voice and follow your heart as you always have. Only then can both our worlds be saved. So this sets up an interesting idea to have a light world and dark world like some of the Zelda games. I'm not sure we're actually going to see that in this in this iteration, but it definitely should be something they think about doing. Wait, don't go. What about my mother? Is she there with you? ... I can barely hear you. Is she in danger too? Please tell me. ... Please, I have to know. Don't leave me. And now I'm glowing with power. And I'm glowing brighter and brighter and brighter. And then I'm gonna wake up and this whole thing's gonna be a dream. Interesting. We have the save guy and he's incredibly fat in this depiction. I did not think of him to be that big. I thought he was just short in most depictions. And now we have our blue genie outfit and it's just asking us to save. So I wonder if we're just gonna not have any manual saves in this game at all. Like, getting rid of manual saves for a modern game makes a lot of sense, frankly. Like, manual saves barely make any sense, particularly if you have manual save spots. It's much better just to have checkpoints and an opportunity to save at any point by pausing the game if you're going to have manual saves. Boy, oh boy, that was some crazy dream I had. No more comic books in bed from now on. And that whole tub of cookie dough ice cream probably didn't help much either. Oh well. Now, in her blue outfit, I think the black, I guess for lack of a better term, panty line pants really stands out more than the red offset there. Because you just have two different colors, dark shades of colors. But otherwise, I imagine her outfit looks exactly the same in red. I kind of wish you could just change it on the fly. Oh well. Now that I'm up, it's time to meet Uncle. He's probably at his workshop. Here we have very standard highlighting of key words, so you don't actually have to read the game. Knee deep in gizmos or gewgaws. Gewgaws is an interesting word. I haven't heard that in a while. Alright, so we're into the game. Top right, we can see we're going to potentially have as much as 999 rupees. We have 2 hearts. We have items that are some kind of magical items, I assume, with a green gel that is some kind of magical energy, stamina. And then we have 2 hearts. Here we have Shantae going into the idle dance immediately and just always bouncing up and down. But what you can say is they've kind of toned it down, the bouncing on all the other characters now, so it makes Shantae look more like she's just a happy-go-lucky, almost childlike mentality character, where the other girls that we're seeing to the right are getting an occasional boob jiggle and they're bouncing up and down a little bit, but nowhere as extreme as Shantae is. And the guy in the back is just walking back and forth in his sleeve swing, and the guy on the left is just very slowly bouncing up and down. We can't go this way. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. The whole world is curved. Let's see. So X is to talk, and we got no prompt for that, so I guess they're just going to assume we know how to play this. Visit the item shop if you enjoy customizing your abilities. So here's the save guy. Let's see, she's just walking back and forth. And yeah, like I said, save guy's kind of an exception, but a lot of the male characters very, very clothed. A lot of female characters definitely showing a lot of belly. Of course, here we've got a couple male characters in the background that are showing a lot of belly too. Hey girls, press Y to shake those hips. And so we're going back to the belly dancing mechanic that will be our magic transformation. And it seems to me like Shantae has gotten really good at shaking her hips. There's seemingly no other thing I can do at the moment though. to change up the dance. Last time we had a mechanic like this, she would do one dance, and then like 3 seconds later she'd do another dance, and then 3 seconds later she would do another dance, and then 3 seconds later she'd do another dance and cycle back into it. So yeah, hip shaking and belly dancing is kind of like the sideways twerking, I guess, by modern standard. Modern equation comparisons. It's definitely weird in a modern Western society to try and figure out what a society like people in the United States and America, what value would they put on belly dancers' abilities? Like, we don't have an Olympics for belly dancing. We do have Olympics for like gymnastics and let's see, what is that? Floor presentations of like dancing. We have dancing competitions certainly, but not belly dancing. It's usually other kinds of pairs dancing, salsa dancing competition type things, or ballroom dancing. Yeah, and with the exception of the occasional hire a belly dancer / hire a stripper position that exists, there's really not a lot of demand for belly dancers. So, like, Shantae potentially could be, in this world, the best belly dancer in the world, and I feel like that almost makes her like a professional sports celebrity. But she's also a hero, and that makes her much more of a celebrity, obviously. But that this world definitely seems to value a rich tradition, it seems, of belly dancing. And sure, in like the Middle East, I imagine belly dancing is still fairly well celebrated. But I imagine even in a lot of Middle Eastern countries, it's a dying art. Let's talk to the uncle. And here you can see you get the same prompt each time you talk to somebody. Good morning, uncle. Say, I had the weirdest dream last night. And can you tell me about it? But first, and you can tell me about it, but first, give your old Uncle Mimic a hand, will you? Sure, is there something to do with your new invention? Is this something that... Man, I'm having trouble reading already. You'll see. I've got a mechanical part on back order. Should have arrived today. I sent your pal Bolo over to the item shop to pick it up. Bolo is the friend who seems to always get jobs and then lose jobs. Or do a terrible job and get fired. But he hasn't come back yet. That was over an hour ago. Always his head in the clouds, that boy. Which is ironic because he was in the clouds in one level in the previous game. Would you mind picking up the part for me? Sure thing, uncle. So we get a standard quest. I imagine we're going to see a lot of 3D models inside of buildings, and ideally we'd want to see 2 or 3 new cities and buildings. But I bet in the actual game caverns and gameplay, we see very little 3D things. Looks like the art gallery is closed right now. No relaxing visuals for this guy. And I can't press back and go to this guy in the background. And can I press back and go this way? No. So we really only can go this way. Let's talk to this little boy. Are you a Medusa? Mommy always tells me to avert my eyes when you walk by. Interesting. So yeah, you do have another instance here where it really feels like WayForward doesn't really know the world they're writing in, and that there are little tweaks here that could have been made, because it seems like this little boy is this little boy's mother is shaming Shantae for wearing a belly dancing outfit, unless she's shaming him for looking at her because she's a genie. But this guy's not wearing much of a shirt. She's not wearing much of a shirt. She's not wearing much of a shirt either. It's not like Shantae is extremely underdressed for the society. She seems to be within the norm. Here we have a friend Sky and her hawk wrench that you use in like the first game as an actual wrench. Ah, that cool ocean breeze feels amazing. But I think we're in for another hot one. Good morning, Sky. Have you seen Bolo? Try the bathhouse. They have bathhouses. Last I saw him, he was heading in that direction. And see, she'll probably be our hint giver throughout the game. But when you have this nice redrawing of the game, feels like it would make a lot of sense that you would have to collect all these eggs as collectibles for her. And maybe you did have to do that in the first game, and maybe they won't repeat that. They don't seem to repeat too much. We can now attack with our hair now that it's up. Or we can't attack people, and the guards are in the back. So we don't really need to be too worried about the guards. There's a very coastal mentality. It typically, in most parts of the world, if you are in a very humid coastal type area, there is a tendency to be less puritanical in your dress. You tend to often be ready at any point to either go in the ocean or get rained on. The humidity often will make it fairly hot, and this city definitely feels like it's a half desert, half coastal environment. So yeah, it really wouldn't make a lot of sense for her to be wearing much more clothing, or any of the characters to be wearing much more clothing, which doesn't really explain these guys, but one assumes that these are actually like bad guy scarecrows in disguise, or there's some secret there. Alright, so these are the fairy fountains that will refill your health, and I guess they are open to the public, co-ed bathhouses. Good morning and welcome to the bathhouse, a place where you can rejuvenate your body and spirit with the tranquil sounds and sense of hardcore, white knuckle, full throttle, max relaxation. That's pretty funny. The comedy in this game series has been pretty good, but it really hasn't been a lot of it. Normally the game seems to be, I would say, going about 68% hardcore platforming focus action, and then you get maybe 12% comedy, and then you get the remaining 20% is just lewd visuals and jokes going for very style. Clearly the artists know what they like. And see, this bathhouse girl, she's got a towel on her head and a skirt, so I imagine she gets splashed quite a bit, or gets in the bath house spa often too. Normally I'd offer you advice about your quest, but right now I'm trying to figure out where this receipt came from. Whoever delivered this drooling buffoon statue over there must have dropped it. There was a creature we had to make drool in the previous game. There's a lot of references to the previous game I think we've already seen. Anyway, if you're heading to the shop next door, please take this receipt with you. So we got a sales slip. This is a very different ending than the last game, where they immediately had us go through an action sequence in the last game at the beginning. Remember, if you ever lose your way, come see me for a free hint. And here's Bolo. Bolo is, again, one of the males that's not really sticking too much with the dress code because he's wearing a shirt. But he is also, I guess, the kind of weirdo of the land. Lolo, what are you doing in the bathhouse? Uncle's waiting for you to deliver his package. You're in the wrong shop, you numbskull. This woman, she's like a bathroom angel. Oh good gravy, not this again. Snap out of it. Can't look away. Never mind, I'll talk to her. So he can't slap him around. So he's fallen in love with her. So let's talk to this guy. The old man who saves your progress, he's always standing over by the town gate. So just a hint here. Then we have a lady here, and then a little girl, which these little kids are really short. A little bit off scale, but I'm not going to complain too much about that. We have one guard that looks like we can talk to. The item shop guy looks like he's been completely redrawn. I don't feel like the item shop guy looked like this before. But the shop itself looks pretty much the same. It's of course in 3D now and has been redrawn, but they haven't really changed the visuals. Welcome to the item shop. We'll be open for business in just a few minutes. Oh, you're picking up for your uncle then? Just show me the receipt and I'll fetch it for you. So, you give the sales slip. Okie dokie. Let's see here. Yep. Here's his order. It was stuck to this box of hard drives. You got a magnet. Interesting. There is a weird level of like modern technology that seems to pop up in this world. It seems like magnets, hard drives, co-ed girls going to on spring break from college all seem to be things that somehow they have squeezed into this world. Grocery stores have been mentioned also, but you just don't really see them. So it's almost like this city and the worlds and the islands are some kind of like theme amusement park where people are living in the past or just a completely different lifestyle. This is a very large female, which you gotta appreciate that diversity of different character body type. You can press the back button to check the sub-screen, fill your pockets with treasure and goods eats. Well, nope, that's not the back button, that's the pause button. But that is the right prompt for the pause button. And we can see we have a relatively same amount in number of key items, but what seems like it could be a lot of dances and a lot of items and could be a lot of other things. A lot of relics. Me, I'm a guard. And that's all the response you get. You're the protector genie. I've heard you can whip monsters with your hair by pressing X. So, like, yeah. I suppose if you had been told that you could talk to people, her telling you that you can whip your hair would be useful. But it's worth mentioning, nobody told us that the B button let you talk to people. So it is, I think, believable that some people would have run this whole all the way from one side to the other and not talk to anybody. We're going a little long today. I've talked too much. You have something for me? Sure. And see, I tried in the last game. If I only had that special part, I could get to work. I tried in the last game saying no to everything because there was an achievement in the game before the last game I played for saying no, but I think in this case, since there was no achievement in the last game, I'm just gonna say yes to everything. It's not like you're getting majorly amusing responses if you do deny people. Ho ho, it's here. My magnet has finally arrived. That means it's time to show off my latest invention. Is there some kind of torture device? Oh my, what is it, Uncle? Something to help you defend the town. I call it the Dynamo. Dino meow. Interesting. Yeah, this is like a world, if I recall correctly, that had technology in the past and then lost its technology in a lot of ways. So in the first game, he created the steam engine, and that nearly destroyed the world because it was so powerful. So now if he's creating a dynamo, which, like, dynamos exist, like, it's assumed that the molten lead core of the planet Earth is a dynamo spinning on its own accord forever. But typically a true dynamo is almost impossible to build and maintain because it comes dangerously close to violating the physical laws of free energy generation. Dynamo is a contraption from the old world that I'm attempting to piece back together. This magnet you brought me goes right there. Here, like that, you see. Wow, that was a giant magnet. Once it's completed, this machine will generate enough electricity to light up Scuttletown day and night. It'll chase away every monster and pirate within a 10-mile radius. Scuttletown will be safe and sound, and you get to relax for a change. That's amazing, Uncle. When will it be ready? Now, honestly, I'm not sure if Shantae wants to relax. I think in short aggregate, she probably wants to relax, but if she was out of a job, I don't know if she would know what to do with herself, because she seems to be defining herself quite a bit as being the town hero. Well, there's still a few components missing, but I'm getting close. Next, I need to add let's see here. Where are my dynamo blueprints? I had them last night, but now they're gone. Did you try looking in the basement? Basement? My workshop hasn't got one. But there's a trap door right in the... Ah, a Tinkerbat. That filthy pirate just ran off with my blueprints. Don't worry, Uncle, I'll... What was that? Cannon fire? The blast came from Main Street. I've got to go. I guess she'll say Scuttletown is under attack a lot, because they voiced it. You'll need a ride. Head to Sky's Hatchery, quick. Almost 45 minutes, and I'll say at least 30 minutes of that was actual gameplay before we got into the action. And I really do want to see what the action is like. Here we can see everybody's been programmed to run a little bit faster and a little bit more anxious. And I can't walk this way. Good. I wanted to confirm that. Except for the guards who aren't really doing anything. Yeah. Yeah, everybody's just been programmed to run slightly faster. And that's all they're doing. It seems fairly consistent that every game Scuttletown gets attacked. Sky. I heard it. Main Street is under attack. I'd give you a ride, but none of my birds are big enough. That is, unless what? Wrench, I need you. Ready to show Shantae our newest trick? Ka! Mega Wrench Metamorphosis. How did he... Here. You got a whistle. So they're bringing back Wrench as being a useful character where he was kind of sidelined before. Which, that's definitely weird. It would be very strange to play a Mario game and have Princess Peach sidelined. Although they did do that with Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. And then Mario 64 didn't have a Luigi originally in the Nintendo 64 version. It was eventually added in the 3DS re-release. But yeah, to have characters disappear and lose their usefulness is a little weird. A bird whistle? I'll explain later. Just get on already. We haven't seen any other creatures magically metamorphosize, so that kind of would want to be explained. But it seems like this is probably our level selection that we're going to have throughout the game, is we're going to fly everywhere instead of using a boat in the previous game, which it'll probably be pretty much the same. Eek. Relax, wrench can stay this size for several seconds. Seconds? Just choose a location and we'll drop you off. So, Skulltown Square has like 3 question marks. Main Street has 5 question marks. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up flying on some other creatures other than Wrench. It is, I think, worth mentioning as we see this nicely animated wind in the hair scene that this game really does feel like a generation or even 2 better in its level of graphics. They really had a lot more money and a decent amount of time to make the next game in the series, which I was getting a little worried, and had I not known that this game looked so amazingly good, I probably would have not played the previous Shantae series games, or I would have been much more reluctant to play them, because I really don't have a large desire to play games that look particularly old and then just don't connect to any kind of modern looking game or a game that's been released anytime soon or anytime recently. It's a very different experience, certainly, to go back and play something that came out in the 80s and has no relevance to somebody who wasn't born in the 80s. This is your stop. Now, about that bird whistle, I've added it to your sub screen. So it's an inventory item. Good. All of the items you collect can be found there. If you ever need a lift, go to that sub screen and blow that whistle. Got it? You bet. Now watch as I give those pirates a taste of my silky split ends of justice. Like, you don't want split ends, but that is a funny alliteration. Sigh. Just go. I won't let you down. I won't let you down either. No, I mean, I'm literally not letting you down. Get. Ouch. What's her deal? An interesting hip shaking animation, and there we can see Risky Boots' pirate ship in the background. I assume that's Risky Boots' pirate ship. She seems to be really the only pirate in this world. We're getting a lot of people thrown at us, first and foremost, and we're not born by this. This really feels like heavily inspired by a Japanese opening sequence. And I'm not gonna hate that one bit, but I don't know if we're gonna get a lot of songs around this. Remember that the sequence, 3 guys that coming out at the same time. Remember, I only have like 4 quarters times 2 hearts. Ooh, interesting. We are doing box pushing with the hair flips. Like, in the previous game, there was a level of lacking of polish in the programming, and I had to turn off vertical sync enabled to make a certain jump, because there was so many jumps and so many falling platforms that I had to deal with. And oh, that is a fire creature. So some fires burn you, some fires don't. So you're gonna have to be fairly careful about that. And fires are just coming out of everywhere. The music probably is programmed in such a way that it will cycle around, so you wouldn't probably realize that it's repeating. There might be an achievement for killing everything in this first sequence, but with all the new gameplay modes, which there were some things that unlocked. There was like a hardcore difficulty that unlocked in the previous game, but there definitely didn't seem like there was there wasn't a way to reset the game and have all your abilities. And some of those abilities were things like double jumps that would obviously make a sequence like this easier, or just more health in general. I think they probably need to program these mine characters though that come out in a smaller, different pattern. You can have 3 people jump out of the mine, but one needs to probably jump on the back side of the mine if you're standing right next to it, or in front of her, and then 2 need to jump behind her, and that would then require me to attack forward and backwards and get fairly good at doing that. And yeah, the music played for a while. We're up to like 111 rupees. But yeah, if you take your time, you will run out the music. And I'm almost low on health. So, like a single heart does not give you the equivalent of a single heart in... Oops. These move a little slower than I was expecting. Yep. And we are definitely in a sequence where I could potentially die because I could just fall and get burnt several times. A little surprised that wasn't a full health. Then we jump, and here we see a character. How do I reach that character though without a double jump? I don't think I do reach that character. Maybe she's some kind of boss. There's the disappearing blocks that you can break. It's a little weird to have a bad guy jump out of a barrel, but whatever. And you can see up there, there seems to be an indication that there is a location for, if we had double jump, we could get more things. They are putting these guys in dangerous positions, and they are having them opt to potentially kill me. I guess those bricks are probably an indicator that we should be aware that we can break those, and you probably would hit those. Yeah. Seems like those are just constantly spawn. What we're not seeing here is a system that we've seen before where you would get like full health. We used to break jars and get full health refills. I'm not saying that here. Instead, I'm just seeing more consistent drops of hearts in general, which that's not a bad system tweak, really. Because often we would get into an occasional area where once you had gotten the full health refill, it no longer served the purpose that it once served, and you could potentially die. Here we have a plant, flower, but nothing that seems to indicate flowers are important. Interesting that guy died in one hit too. Like in the past, we've had to really swipe the even most basic characters. We've had to often just hit them multiple times to kill them. Even with after we've gotten upgraded attacks, it still took 2 or 3 hits. One hit kills at the very beginning of the game really does modernize the damage balance. All of the pirates are Tinkerbats, which means the person behind this attack must be Risky Boots. Her boat is very different now. She's on a giant snail. That's not the boat that was the giant mechanical steam engine boat she had. And there's a shiny bell in the background that's probably a hint to something. Ho ho ho! She's wearing her same old outfit. No palette swap for her. Tut tut, call me Queen of the Seven Seas if you please. Remember, we worked with her or for her for the most of the time in the last game, and then she went back to her evil ways. Back to your old tricks, I see. You don't sound happy to see me. No matter. I have what I came for. Looking for this. Uncle's blueprint. Give that back. You dim-witted relic hunting uncle is always unearthing valuables from the Lost Age. Whatever secrets this blueprint contains, I want them. How else can I claim my rightful place as ruler of all of Sequin Land? Oh. I guess Sequin Land is probably as far as we'll ever see in this game series. We probably won't go past that area. If we did, it might be a very different world outside Sequin Land. Ho ho ho. Next step aside. Now step aside or suffer the might of my part omni-organic, partially titanic, ocean optional tinker slug, or I guess that would be poop tot toot. Yeah, Pooptoot. Poop toot. Don't call it that. Men. Lock and load. Let's give that brat a proper workout. Tinker slug, don't call it poop toot. Okay. So what happens when we ring the bell? Alright. So we want to go up here. And then we want to go over here. And then that lets us just whack this a lot. And we have a little bit of a cool-off timer. And we can see we're doing 5 damage each time. Why is it shining if I can't ring the bell? Do I just have to hit the bell several times? Or is there an actual timer there? And she's slowly running out of men, and it seems like... Yeah, it is a timer. And maybe it's after she says lock and load. This is much more of a puzzle than a lot of the boss fights in the previous game, and it did take 3 tries, but it wasn't that bad. I think I took like 1 hit of damage that whole time. Surrender the blueprints, Risky Boots. So you managed to get the upper hand. But you're only postponing my inevitable victory. You got the dynamo blueprints. Another time, Runt. Now the ho 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 is something we've heard her say before. Move it, you lubbers. I haven't heard her say that, so I don't know why they voiced that line of dialogue, other than we're gonna hear her say it a couple times. And I imagine we'll hear each of these voice lines of dialogue multiple times. Hey, how do you like that? Actually beat her right away for a change. I better get those blueprints back to Uncle. Interesting. Looks like we have just straight up warp zones again. And we got an achievement for jumping on that. Maybe we should have done a little victory dance after that. So I imagine Risky Boots is really not going to be the main character. Let's see. And see, this might be DLC, so this may not be the main game. Daughter of the Genies, welcome to the Genie Realm. Take this transformation and enter the light. Well, I don't know. Because you kind of need the... You kind of need the transformations. So, unless this is an extra transformation, I don't know. The monkey dance is a pretty basic transformation. Use the power to scale walls, press Y. So like immediately now, we are out of ever needing to really try to have a double jump, and instead we're going to use the monkey climb again. So yeah, and when you press right, she does the monkey pose, but it's fairly quick. So it seems like we're going to potentially get the same dances we had from the game 2 games ago, and we're just going to probably get them a little bit faster and maybe get upgraded versions of them. And you say Risky sailed off after that. She gave me the slip. I'm sorry, Uncle. There. Look on the bright side. No one was hurt, and you managed to return the blueprints. Hey, it's the incompetent mayor. Well, you're fired. Again? Yeah, Main Street is in shambles and pirates are running pell-mell all over town. I'm off to place an ad for a new guardian genie. One who can get rid of those pirates for good. Loots lots of half-genies guarding towns these days. One of them is bound to want to transfer to a beach town. Free rent, amazing ocean view, negligible fish smell. Apply today. I never got free rent. Bah, ignore him. He'll come around once this dynamo is complete. If you say so, Uncle. In fact, I should get back to working on it right away. Why don't you see if anyone in the town needs help? Alright, good luck, Uncle. I'm ready to go. Yeah, that's a phrase that they... If anyone needs me. They still seem to use, but oddly not voiced this time. Alright, well. So far, so good. I kind of want the pause screen not to be this screen, though. But the back button actually doesn't do anything, so I guess this is just a pause screen we'll have to settle down with. Yeah, a bit of a slow startup there, for sure. In that it took us nearly an hour of actual gameplay. Maybe I talked for 10 or 20 minutes at the beginning. But yeah, it took us at least 50 minutes to get through the first section so that we could see how the world is going to work when you're kind of dealing with people and inside of a city, and how the game is going to work when you're actually doing the platforming and the action sections. The platforming action section in this game went perfectly without a hitch. We didn't have any VSync issues. We didn't get any platforms where the game was incredibly hard. There was no major challenges there. Maybe in the hardcore mode, or one of the extra modes, we'll see more challenging platforming. I wouldn't be surprised. Even the last game near the end did have some pretty challenging platforming sections. But yeah, everything seems to be working fine. So we're ready for another Shantae adventure. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because that helps me with YouTube and tells them my videos are worth watching. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and give me a game off my wishlist or a gift card. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.